Hello everybody, welcome back to Burnt Church. We're having a stormy evening here, if you can tell. Power's out. It's still not completely dark outside yet, but it won't be long and it'll be pitch black outside. Y'all may be able to hear the storm in the background. There's a lot of thunder and wind, and there was a little hail a little while ago with it. I hope y'all can hear me. I've had some trouble with my throat the last few days. I guess it's strep throat. Man, it hurts to swallow. I had some antibiotics here and I've been taking them and laying around. Hadn't had any fever, just a awful sore throat. I think it's the sorest I've ever had. It hurts to swallow a drink of water. But this power going out, you can see a little bit of light over the kitchen sink back here. That's some light coming in from the outside. Like I said, it's still a little bit daylight out there. But I done a video here the other day talking about my biggest fear after a shift event or an LCE. Anything that changes life as we know it right now. If power and gasoline engines are gone, what's some of your biggest fears? Well, when this power went off, it got me to thinking, we don't have to have electricity to live. People have lived way longer without electricity than they have with electricity. We've just gotten accustomed to it the last 80 or 100 years. But there is ways of living without it. And a lot of that involves going to bed with the chickens, as the old saying goes. And we pretty much do that around here already. But even going to bed with the chickens, we still run an air conditioner to stay cool. My wife runs TV to watch while she's sleeping. So there's things that you need even after you go to bed that involves electricity. And I guess you would say we're spoiled. I guess we're a spoiled society because we don't have to have these luxuries. There's ways of living without doing this. But anyway, just when the power went off, it got me to thinking, are we prepared for a short-term, grid down power outage? And we kind of are here. We've prepped a little bit for it. We've got coil oil lamps and different kind of lights to run, for nighttime use. We've got a little bit of solar. We really need to pick up the pace a little bit in the solar. We need to get some solar generators. Right now, I've got a homemade solar generator. And y'all can build one of these probably easier than I can. If I can do it knowing no more than I do about solar, then anybody can. I bought 2 solar panels at Harbor Freight. And I got the little charge controller, 500 watt charge controller. All of that was around $300, I think is what it was. No, I believe it was cheaper than that. I got the panels for around $85 a piece. And then the charge controller was $75. So what is that? About $220 or something? Y'all can do the math anyway. 2 85s and a 75 for the charge controller. Wait a minute, I had to buy one more thing though. I had to buy a little old adapter to plug the solar panels into to plug to the charge controller. So I think that was around $20 or $30 more. I'm thinking I had around $280 in it after it was all said and done, but I may be off a little bit. That's been a few months ago when I bought all this. But I don't have any real good batteries. I've got one really big 12-volt battery that I've been using to charge a little bit with it. Just something to play around with. And I could charge a few things off of that. What I've got is I've got a 1500 watt Husky power inverter. Now it's not a pure sine wave. And from what I understand, to charge like computers and things, you need a pure sine wave or you can damage your machine. So what I've got not really going to work for charging computers. Now if I was in a real bad situation, I would probably try charging my phone off of it to see if it worked. But what I've got will charge walkie-talkies, or I can run fans off of it. I can run some power tools. And that's a big benefit if the power's down a very long period of time. We've got other things. I'll show you one right here. My wife started collecting these little things. But this is just a little coil oil lamp. They're little small ones and they're real pretty. She started collecting them to set around in the house just for looks. And she may whip me when she gets home. She's at work right now and I've got one of her little lamps lit up. But I don't think she'll be mad. That's sort of the plan that we had when we started collecting them. We made sure that they worked whenever she first bought the first one. And those are real nice to set around in the house. It gives you some light. You can see all the light right now we're getting is from this one lamp. It's the only one we've got lit up. And it helps a whole lot. Just having any kind of light whenever the power's out is a comfort thing, I guess. And my wife really likes it more than I do. She can't stand to be in a dark place. I guess it's a little bit of a phobia. It doesn't bother me that much. My whole life, we didn't sleep with lights on anywhere. We slept with the windows open and an attic fan. If anybody knows what an attic fan is, that's the old-timey air conditioner. It was out here in the South. It's a big old fan that fit up in your ceiling, and it had louvers on it that would open and close. When you turned the fan on, the louvers opened, and that big exhaust fan would pull air through your windows. You'd crack some windows, open them up, and it would pull that night air in and out through your roof. And that's all we ever had when I was a kid growing up. We had a 220 air conditioner in the wall of the house there. And Mama would turn it on at about 4 o'clock of evening when she got in from work. She would run it from 4 o'clock to about 7 o'clock or so. After we eat supper and stuff, she turned it off. She would just run it for a few hours every evening. And that's basically all the air we had the whole time I was growing up. The rest of the time, it was that attic fan. And you would be pulling the covers late at night whenever that good, cool night air was coming through the bedroom windows. You would be pulling the cover up. But I don't know where I was going with that. That ain't got nothing to do with the power being off. Well, I got sidetracked talking about the attic fan. I don't know what I was talking about. I think I was talking about light being comfort. And it is comfort. In the dark, to be able to turn a light on and see what's around you, it helps a whole lot. When I go out to check the chickens and stuff at night, I carry a flashlight to where I can see what's around. So light is a big comfort. We don't have to have it, but it sure is comfortable when you do have it. And these little lamps right here, we've been finding these at antique stores. And most of the time they're just $6, $8 for these little small ones. And they put out a good bit of light. So I guess that would kind of be an idea for a prepping item, would be some of these little lamps. Or any kind of lighting. I like these because you can put fuel in them and just keep refilling them. You don't have to have batteries, but then there you go again. You got to have fuel and a wick for them, so eventually it's going to run out. But we hope that the power won't stay out that long. The worst case scenario would be something like an EMP or a solar flare that might knock the grid out for long term, and it might take several years for them to get it back up and going. At least, especially out here to the country. Now, they might get big cities up and going faster, but out here where we live, they might not never get power back out here. I reckon what that does is a solar flare fries all the electricals. We had one here in the United States back in the early 1800s. I can't remember what it was called. It may have been the Carrington event. I'm not positive about that, but it was a solar flare, and it hit here in the U.S. It was somewhere in the early 1800s. But the only thing electrical that they really had then was the telegraph. And it followed that telegraph, and it burned a lot of the telegraph offices. The heat from that solar flare followed those lines back to where they came from, and it burnt down a lot of the telegraph offices. It was so strong. So you imagine something like that today, all the electrical that's in everybody's house. Why, every house on the block would be on fire if it does something like that. That would be a worst case scenario. I mean, could you imagine driving down the road and every house on the block on fire? I mean, it'd be over with. The fire department, they would be putting the fire department out. So let's pray that nothing like that happens. That would be a bad case. And it could happen anytime. It's just a solar flare from the sun that is directed towards the earth. And the sun does them all the time. They're just not directed toward the earth. A lot of them goes off behind the sun, and a lot of them just misses the earth. If one ever connects again just right, well, there you go. It's going to be just like that was again. So I guess my topic here tonight would be getting prepared with some light for when the grid goes down. It's not a matter of if, it's when. I mean, it's going to go down like here tonight. As far as I know, it's just this storm's knocked it out. If it's anything other than the storm, y'all not going to be seeing this video. So, some light goes a long way with your enthusiasm and your morale. I mean, can you imagine being in the dark all night long, no kind of light other than a fire? Just having a little light that you can carry around with you is going to raise morale a lot. So maybe I got some of you thinking. It got me thinking. I need to get some more fluid and wicks for our lanterns. I've got fluid and I've got wicks for our big lanterns, but I need to get some more for these small lanterns. A few gallons of fuel will last a long time with these little lamps. A long time. I did have the math on how long it would last, but I forgot it now. I searched it here a few months ago, how much a lamp would burn, and I come up with a little bit of an equation. But anyway, I've got about 4 gallons of fuel for one of them, and best my math goes, just using what we had, that's going to last a long time. And I've got extra wicks. So that'd be a good prepping item for anybody that's not prepped on that. But I hope this video helped you. I thank you for coming and watching with me. I pray God blesses you, and I'll see you in the next one.